Before starting the reassembly procedure, make sure you completely read and understand the instructions you'll find at my website. If you have questions, email us. Okay, we'll start by installing the refurbished LCD panels. The tachometer panel goes on the left, and it's held in place by two rubber blocks. We want to make absolutely sure the panel is flat against the housing and that the glass panel is not covering any of the three tabs that could cause it to break. We'll do the same thing for the speedometer panel, which goes on the right side. It's also held in place by two rubber blocks. Next, we'll install the metal spring that holds the center panel in place. We'll move the metal spring out of the way completely while we're installing the center panel. And then we'll hold the center panel is held in place by two rubber blocks. And we'll just press those into place. Okay, before we proceed, we want to make absolutely sure that none of the glass panels is resting on top of any of the plastic tabs that might cause them to break. We also want to make sure the spring that holds the center panel in place is beside the center panel and not under it. We want to make sure the speedometer panel is not on any of the three plastic tabs that could cause it to break. Next, I'll use some compressed air to get rid of any less dust that's settled on the panels. And I'll install the color sheet. It's held in place by three tabs. Next, I'll install the diffuser panels. Next, we'll install the three black plastic pieces, and we'll make sure that the tabs on the diffusers line up with the holes in those black plastic pieces. Finally, we'll reinstall the pink rubber blocks. When all 16 of the pink rubber blocks are in place, we can replace the bottom board. In order to reinstall this bottom board, we're going to be very careful. We're only going to install a few screws, and we're not going to tighten them completely. We want to make absolutely sure that the LCD panels are flat against the housing before we tighten any of these screws. Okay, when we have these 10 screws in place, we will hold the bottom board against the housing and turn it over. We're looking to make sure the LCD panels are flat against the face of the housing, that there's no gap on any side. Take your time when you're checking this. Be very, very careful. If you bump anything, it's fine to go ahead and take it back apart and start over. We want to make absolutely sure we don't break the LCD panels. When you've checked them, go ahead and install the remaining screws and tighten all 22 screws. So we see the bottom board after we've installed all 22 screws. This completes the installation of the bottom board. Next, we'll replace the light bulbs in this cluster. At Batee.com, you can find a kit that contains the 4 illumination bulbs and 3 indicator bulbs contained in the cluster. Before starting this repair, make sure you read and completely understand the instructions at the website printed on the kit. To install the bulbs, the new sockets are a tight fit, so you might have to move the bulb around slightly. And we'll use some needle nose pliers to press the bulb in place. We're pressing in on the socket and turning approximately 1/16 of a turn clockwise to lock the bulbs into place. We'll repeat that for each of the 4 bulbs. Here we see the factory indicator bulbs and bases, as well as the 3 new bulbs provided by the kit. To change these, we simply pull the old bulb out, and set them aside. And we'll gently press the 3 new bulbs into place. To replace the new bulbs and sockets, press the socket in place, rotate it approximately 1/16 of a turn clockwise to lock it into place. And that completes replacing the bulbs. The next step in reassembling the cluster is to install the top board. We'll make sure the alignment pin is in place here and here, and we'll gently press the top board into place. The next step is to install the odometer. Next, we will replace the odometer connector. Make sure that it's centered and that both pins are connected to both sockets. The next step is to mount the top board with 7 screws. The last 2 screws install here and here. Next, we'll reinstall the back. And we'll replace the 5 or 6 screws. If you have an 84, the 6th screw goes right here. Finally, we'll replace the bulb caps and the lens covers. Okay, and I'm missing one of the rivets that holds this photocell cover in place.